everyone, it's Sabrina.
And I'm Shaha from the Kombe family.
Today we are going to talk about how we have changed since we've been together, since I've been in Kenya, and then we soon got married after that. So we are going to start with what Shaha has written down. We don't know what each other wrote down, so there might be some things that are the same on our list. We thought it would be more fun if we kind of just had a free-flowing conversation with you guys and just discussed if we agree on these changes or if we disagree on these changes and those type of things. So we're gonna go with Shaha's first item.
Yeah, I go first.
Yes.
And one of my first things that I have really changed is how people used to stare at me in the streets. I used to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I could be passing in the streets and someone just sees me at first and calls the other person, maybe a friend, a relative, like come out and see. Yeah, so people would just open windows. I would see doors opening and people just stare at me, and that would make me feel so uncomfortable. But that one has really changed ever since we started living as a family, and I'm going to explain how that has really made me so comfortable. Yeah, our family of four everyone is very unique. Like I have vitiligo, my wife is white, Safari, our daughter, is mixed, Georgina is dark-skinned. So whenever we are on the streets, people stare at me, but also at the same time, they also want to look at my wife. Oh, that is a white lady. At the same time, there's Safari too. Yeah, so that divided attention makes that time of staring minimal. So that makes me feel so comfortable.
Yeah, that actually wasn't something on my list. I don't know why that wasn't on my list. But I told him when I first got here, before I got here, because he told me how uncomfortable those type of situations made him. And I was like, well, if people stare at you, they're going to have a problem with me because I'm going to say something. And I do. So I think that maybe that, I don't know, half embarrasses him and half, makes him more comfortable that, somebody is sticking up for him, so and I'm sure you guys know that you can tell the difference between if somebody's staring because of curiosity or if somebody's staring because they have a negative outlook on the way that you look, right? So whether it's young children or whether it's adults, I can tell whether they're looking what's wrong with him, or if they're looking look at that guy, curiosity. And I approach those two separate situations very differently. If somebody is just curious and they're staring, then I will tell him, I'll be like, oh, look at that kid is so curious about you, or whatever, and it kind of breaks the ice. So then the kid is shy or hiding, or the kid is just still staring and I wave at them or whatever, so that kind of situation mostly happens with kids. But adults tend to look at him more negatively for the most part, there's some that are just curious, especially him being with a white person, because here vitiligo is a negative thing, people don't want to marry you, they don't want to be around you, they don't know what it is or whatever. So the fact that he married a white woman, people are what is happening, so they stare in that regard too. But when somebody stares at him and I know it's a negative stare, I'll be oh, look at her face, why is she looking at you like that? And I'll say it very loud so she can hear. And even if somebody doesn't speak English well, they still understand what I'm saying, and that I'm looking at them just in disgust, they're looking at us, So I'm surprised that I didn't think of that. But that was a good one.
It used to trouble me. That's why I made sure that it was the first thing.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have definitely seen your confidence change. When we lived in Tezo, and when we first got here, he would be really uncomfortable wanting to go out in public, even to the market or whatever, because it was just at the beginning it was more staring, you know, like people are already staring at him, and now he has like a white woman with him, so they're like, what is going on? They're staring even more, and that made him uncomfortable until we got comfortable like as a family, and now it's like built his confidence, and so now he's just like, whatever.
Yeah, people are different. There are those people who dress up in the morning and goes out, and that attention that people give them, like, oh, you're so smart, people staring at them, they are so happy about that.
Yeah.
But I am completely the opposite.
But I think that's because if you look, like, smart is another word for looking fancy, right? So like if you look smart or fancy, like when you leave your house, like I've been in that position before, like wearing suits to work and stuff, you know, and everybody is like, oh my god, you look so nice, like blah blah blah, you know, all the time. But that's a positive thing, you know, like in Kenya, if you have vitiligo, like that's for the most part a negative thing to people, you know, so like you don't want negative attention, and so I think that's why like you've had that mindset of just like, I wish I could just be invisible. Okay, so that was definitely a good one to start the video off with. So I'm gonna go to my first one, and it's also about Shaha, and it's how much he has perfected speaking English compared to how he spoke English like before I got here. Granted, I was worried before we ever had our first phone call. I was worried that he wouldn't be able to understand me. I think I had talked to a couple people on the phone before, and they just like really didn't understand English, and maybe watch some documentaries about like they can message well but they can't like talk on the phone. So I was worried about that. And so then we had like our first like actual phone call that was like long, and he could understand me very well, and I even put in some of my just like, I don't know, California like slang, and for the most part he was understanding me very well, you know, and so that was such a relief. But he had to be in a quiet place in order to like talk to me. Like he couldn't just like be in the grocery. First of all, he can't multitask at all. But
one thing after the other.
but like especially when it came to speaking English to me, because this was a new relationship, he's not used to speaking with a foreigner all the time, you know, he had to get used to that. So he would like sit in a specific spot, like when this was when he was going to college, and he would like go there, and then he would call me so he could like focus on the conversation. But as time went on and we talked to each other more and more on the phone, he got more comfortable. I think for the majority of our conversations he still sat in the same spot, but he was still like getting more comfortable, you know, like it wasn't like he had to focus so much, I guess. And now that I'm here, like I even asked him this morning, I was like, when you're like half asleep and I wake you up, like do you have to like think about speaking English to me? And he's like, no, I don't. And I can tell that he doesn't, you know, because like he's half asleep, and like I'm like, hey, like good morning or whatever, and he doesn't have to like think about it before he responds back to me. So he's definitely improved on his English. What do you think?
Yeah, that is very true, and that was actually my second point. Now I'm out of my yeah, but I will talk about it in a different way.
Yeah.
The language that you can confidently speak here in Kenya is just English. You have not been able to speak Swahili that fluently.
Yes.
You are still
Yes.
yeah, and you also don't know how to speak our mother tongue, that is Mijikenda. So our mode of communication in this family is English, and that has made me to get so used in speaking English. So sometimes I interact with my friends that I used to interact like back in college and in the village. So it is very, very hard for me to just stick talking to them in mother tongue. Most of the time I just find myself just speaking English. My friends out there, it's not because I'm just extra, it is because that I am always speaking English, and it is really getting into my brain.
One point that I will say that I noticed, because he's told me that like when he goes and like buys something from like the restaurant, the little hotel next to our house, he will make sure to try to speak to people in Swahili because he doesn't want them to think that he's extra. Because here in Kenya, if you just like go and speak to everybody in English, they'll just be like, oh, he just wants everybody to know that he knows English, that he's smart, that he's educated, you know, like that's the way that they'll think of you. But one thing that I can say about him is that every time he answers the door, answers the phone, like talks to somebody on the street, he will start the conversation with hello. Instead of, like, when I first got here, like, there was no hello, you know? And, like, now, like, even when he's talking to his mom doesn't barely speak Swahili. She only speaks, like, their mother tongue. And still, when he, like, first answers the phone with his mom, he'll say hello. And then he'll start talking in, like, Giriama or, like, Swahili or whatever, you know? So that is something that I've noticed. Have you noticed that about yourself?
Yeah, I've noticed that. And it's not bragging.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Just lifestyle changes.
Yeah. And, like, I think that only people that are, like, jealous of you and your situation would think that that's bragging. Like, I think anybody would, like, understand that now that you're in a situation where you speak English all the time, like, that's just something that starts to come natural.
I remember one of my friends asked me, what if you and your family leaves Kenya and go to live abroad? Are you going to forget your mother tongue? I said, no. I'm not going to forget my mother tongue.
So you still think that, like, you'll keep that even if, like, you move away and you talk to your mom, like, once a week or whatever, like, you still think that you would, like, keep it?
Yeah, because if I forget how to speak my own mother tongue, then people will perceive it as very negative.
Yeah, that you, like, that you want to forget this life.
Yeah.
Do you think that, side note, do you think that Georgina, if we moved abroad, that she would forget?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Because we are always together, and I will make sure that I do speak to her in English and sometimes in Mijikenda, so that cultural aspect of language does not
go away.
Is not forgotten.
Yeah. It's much different than like someone who gets adopted into America, you know, because then they don't have anyone to speak their mother tongue to. So if she was 9 and that happened, then she would lose it.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're around, like, she'll keep that. Okay, so what is your next one?
Oh my goodness. The next one is about you. Yeah, you have really changed in how you carry yourself. When you first got here, everything about you was fast. Pop, 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 pop. Let us do this. Let us go somewhere. Let us do something. Yeah. Because you were used to the lifestyle that you used to live there. But ever since we started living together, now it's almost 8 months. Yeah. You have really changed. Like, we can wake up and I don't hear that from you, like, oh, we need to, what are we going to do today? Where are we going? What are we doing? Yeah, such things. And even most of the things that you do them in a relatively slower pace, not like how you used to be.
That's true. I didn't think of that one either. That's a good one. Yeah, I think that, like, us coming to Nairobi and, like, not being, because, okay, like, when we were in the village, like, you could do things and go places for pretty much free, you know? Yeah. This is one of my main catalysts for just staying home, you know? Yeah. And here in Nairobi, like, we live on the outskirts of Nairobi, so if we want to go hang out with one of our foreign friends or we want to go into town, everything costs money, you know? So that is, like, exhausting to my financial mind, so I would rather just stay home, you know? But then it's not only that, like, it's just maybe just having our family here that we know for the most part, you know? Like, I like this time for us because it just makes us closer as a family, you know? Like,
to bond.
yeah, like me and you like are not working right now, so we can be here with the kids for homeschooling, unschooling, you know, and we can like make breakfast, lunch, and dinner together and just like bond over that, you know. So I really enjoyed this time with us together, like of course away from my family, away from your family on the coast, just us, so that when we do move back, like we are stronger as a unit.
Yeah.
And then able to interact with your family and stuff. So yeah, I've definitely changed when it comes to that. When we first got here, I used to wake up every morning early and then be like, we have to go somewhere. Like, I can't just sit here all day. We have to go somewhere and do something, like, every day. So, yeah, I've definitely changed. Now I'm more of, like, a homebody. Like, I've really gotten into, like, cooking and stuff. So, yeah, definitely changed.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next one, that kind of transitions well, is cooking. I was really getting into cooking maybe like a year or so before I even moved here. And because I used to hate when people would be like, what is your hobby? Like, I never had a hobby. I went to college, like getting 3 master's degrees until I was 29 years old, you know, and I had Safari when I was 23. So I've always just been working, taking care of a kid, working, taking care of a kid. So I never really had a hobby. So then I got really into cooking, and I started cooking a lot when we lived in California, and then when we lived in Ohio as well. But I was working during those times too, so I could only cook a certain amount of time during the day, you know.
Yeah.
But now here, it's not like you can go get fast food, you know, like not as in how Americans see it. So, like, if you're just, like, running late and you just want to go to Taco Bell and get a Crunchwrap Supreme, like, you can't do that. Or if you want to go get tacos at Jack in the Box, like, you can't do that. Or if you want to get Chipotle, you can't do that, you know? So, like, everything that I have had cravings for, which I'm lucky that, like, well, now we're vegan, so, like, meat is not a thing that we're cooking, and cheese is disgusting from what I have seen in Kenyan, even like the major grocery stores, like they don't keep it at the right temperature or something. I don't know. It just looks disgusting. So I don't crave those things anyways, which is good. But things that I do crave, for example, Crunchwrap Supreme. We just made a Crunchwrap Supreme together for the family for dinner, which took a long time, but we're not working right now, so we can do that, right? So we made everything from scratch. We made the large tortilla from scratch, we made the inside tortilla from scratch, everything, you know? Like, instead of meat, we did like cubed up, like small cubed up potatoes, and we fried those and put those down, and then did all the vegetables, and then fried the top and the bottom, you know, like just like a Crunchwrap Supreme. We made like a delicious sauce to put inside of it, and it was so good. It hit the spot, you know. So being that we don't have any access to any of those things, we kind of just like, oh, I'm really craving this. Well, let's figure out how to make it ourselves, you know. Like, I was talking to this lady on Facebook, and she was talking about brownies, and it made me think so much about the brownies, the little circle ones. You Americans know what I'm talking about, from Walmart, deli or bakery section. They're so good. And she made me think about those, so I was like, I need to make some brownies. So I looked up vegan brownies, and I made them, and they were delicious, you know? So a lot of times, like, we just, like, look things up on YouTube and figure out how we're gonna make something that I am craving. So it's much healthier that way anyways. You know, it takes more time, but we have time on our side right now because we're not working, so we can make everything from scratch and experiment with different foods in the kitchen and stuff. So that is something that I really enjoy right now.
Yeah, and it also saves us a lot of money.
Yes, that's true. If we were like in America or did have access to like a Chipotle or Jack in the Box here, like that would still add up really quickly, you know? We all know that like a Chipotle burrito costs like $8 or more, you know, and that's like 900 shillings here. That's a lot of money. So it's good that we're able to make those things from scratch, you know? Like sometimes when we're lazy, recently we bought tortillas from the health food store. Cost like 200 or 250 shillings for 8 small tortillas, like flour tortillas, and we could make those for like pennies,
Yeah.
you know, with flour that we have at home, you know? So, yeah, convenience things always cost more. So, it's good that we're able to just make everything from home. And we're learning, you know? So, that's always good too.
Yeah, and I'm also getting into cooking.
Yes.
I'm becoming an expert.
Every time he sits there and gives me moral support, he's like, I helped cook too. So we're getting there. Yeah. But yeah, like when I don't feel good or when I'm sick or something, like he like takes the reins, you know, and he'll make like more Kenyan dishes, like the fried potatoes that we recently did a video on, or sukuma wiki and ugali. Githeri, yeah. So he'll make like dishes like that, or French fries. Like he'll make the girls French fries. That's one of Safari's favorites. You know, so just different things like that. He's able to make those meals for them if I am not able to cook that day for whatever reason. So that's awesome that we could like tag team the cooking situation. Yeah. Okay, so I have one more, and you can tell me what you think about this one. So it's about me, and I think that before I came to Kenya, I was getting very conservative in the way that I dress, making sure that I was constantly covered, but I did still wear things like leggings. Yes, leggings fully cover you, but they still show all of the curves that are there to be shown, right? And so I think that moving from America, where people just go naked sometimes, to going to Kenya, where people only do that when they're really trying to get attention, negative attention. I have learned to be very conservative, like even more conservative than most Kenyans, I would say, because I have gotten my inspiration from Muslims. We are not Muslim, and I don't know so much about the Muslim religion, but there are certain things about the Muslim religion that I really love. And one of them being how conservative the women dress, you know, like wearing their hijab, wearing like long dresses, like long sleeves, everything. And I just really support that because of a video that we've done before about pedophilia in Kenya and sexual violence against young girls. I make sure that my daughters are always covered. So we went and made them 4 dresses each, because I don't know why, but in Kenya there's like 2 sizes of Dara dresses. That's usually the dress that I wear in almost all of my videos, just the long flowy dress. There's like 2 sizes. There's like a kid size, which is like 5 years old, and then there's the adult size. There's no size in between, you know? So because it costs more to, of course, get like a dress made for your body, then people just let their 12-year-old wear a 5-year-old's dress, right? And so then it becomes above their knees and just inappropriate. But they're just like, oh, it's a kid, whatever. No, those are the kids that get targeted and molested and raped the most. So we took our daughters and they each got to pick 4 different materials and get dresses made out of them with little tie belts and also like scarves for their heads or whatever. And it's like covers them, you know, like the dress sleeves go to about here. So this part of their arm is still showing, but we're not so concerned with that. And then it goes down to the ground. And it's like wide so they can still be outside and play, and it doesn't restrict them too much, but it does cover them fully. And then they have to wear leggings or some type of pants or sweats underneath their dress to make sure that if they are playing or if they do pull their dress up to jump around, that they still have pants on underneath, you know? And there's so many people here that because of finances or because they just think that this kid is going to be innocent forever, they are like, oh, like you don't need shorts under, or oh, like you don't have any pants clean or whatever. So they don't bother with that, you know? And then the kid goes outside and they jump around and you can see their business that doesn't need to be seen, you know? So I am very strict when it comes to my children and me covering ourselves fully, you know? Like you can go with that however you want, that you should save yourself for your husband, or that you should be the only person that like sees your body the way that it is. Whatever the case may be, I don't think that going out in public, people should be seeing my body. So that's my personal opinion, and it's gotten stronger being in Kenya and seeing the issues that are faced here and all of that.
Yeah, you want to know my opinion on that?
Yes, I do.
I am actually very proud of you. I am very proud of you because that is actually a good thing, to be very conservative in terms of how you dress. That is a very positive thing for a woman to do. So, you being from a very different culture that I know very little about, it was not so easy for me to just tell you, as my wife, like, oh, this is how you are supposed to dress when you are here. This is how you are so. It was not easy because it shows a way of being controlling. So you figuring out by yourself and knowing that, oh, this is how I have to dress because this is nice. I am proud of you.
Thank you. And I'm sure, like, being proud, like, extends to the fact that you have seen pictures, like, on my Facebook of, like, how I used to dress, like, when I was younger, which was very, as Georgina would say, bad manners. So, like, very, like, short shorts, like, crop tops, like, I went through all of that phase, you know, like, club dresses and all of that. And as I've grown older and had a child that is grown older and now 2 children, I think that it's better that way, you know? Like, I tried to explain it to my dad, and the way that I explained it to him was that if you are looking at 2 women that are both fully covered, right? One is a Muslim woman. She has a loose-fitting dress that is long sleeves going down to the ground, and she's wearing a hijab. Then the second woman, she is wearing leggings and a sweatshirt, right? And some shoes, whatever. Who is the guy going to look at?
The woman, of course.
Which one? The woman, the Muslim woman, or the woman in the leggings?
The woman in the leggings.
The woman in the leggings, because they're both covered, but the woman in the leggings is still showing all of her curves because the leggings are so tight, right? So that's the way that I look at things. Like, I don't want any negative or sexual attention to me because I am married, so I don't need that, or to my children who are 8 and 9 years old. And children who are that age definitely get sexual attention here, you know, everywhere, but I've seen it happen more openly and overtly here than I have in America, that's for sure, okay? So I need to protect my children from that. I need to let my children know how important it is that they don't feed into that information, you know, or feed into that, like, attention, you know? Like, I was not given these talks and lectures by my parents when I was younger, you know, and I started giving these talks to Safari when she was very young because I want her to understand that she is loved by this family, you know. She shouldn't feel a lack of emotional attention or love of any kind and need to go get that from a stranger. So we make sure that we have these conversations with our children all the time so that they understand why they are being told to wear dresses that completely cover themselves. When there's kids outside, they've told us stories about that it's just crazy how much they show their skin, you know, and they're talking about 10, 11-year-olds. So regardless of what people say or think about us or our family and how our kids dress, our kids know who they are and they know what not to get themselves into. So
That's very true.
Yeah. So that's definitely why, amongst other reasons, that I have decided to be more conservative, you know. When I was younger, like, I felt the need to, like, get that attention from random guys, you know, but now, like, I think that that's disgusting. Like, I get that attention here anyways just because I'm white, you know, so I have to, like, fight that off anyways because I'm white. So I don't need to give them another reason to be like, oh, she's white and I can see all her curves. And no. I'm cool, you know. Dare dresses, good to go. Yeah. So anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. So those are the significant ways that we have changed since we have lived together in the past 8 months. I think that they are all very positive, and we are still learning each other, still trying to understand each other and getting better with things. I'm sure we will do an update video to this, and maybe I will know Swahili or mother tongue by that time, so that could be my difference. But yes, so I hope that you guys liked this video, and please tell us if you guys would change in other ways, if you think that you would expect other changes from someone moving to a different country or someone marrying a white person. We would love to hear that in the comments. So please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.